everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So I finished up the third pass, woohoo, and we are starting on the fourth. And yeah, 36% completed. So after the third pass, I had exactly 110,000 stitches done. And I did the math, and each pass is 33,000 stitches after this, except for the very bottom one, which is short by a couple of rows. And so far it's been taking me about 4 months to complete a pass. I have 6 left, so that would give me 2 more years. So we will see. Yeah, this part will go a little quicker because the ocean and then there's a bit more of the peacock's chest are not very many colors. And then, of course, we're going to get into his tail again, which is a lot more detailed work. So yeah, so where we lived, there was a partial solar eclipse. I did not really bother. We had one a few years ago, and my husband made a special, thing to look through that shielded out the rays so that you don't damage your sight. Yeah, and I looked at it. It was kind of cool to see, like a wedge taken out of the moon, or out of the sun from the moon passing in front of it. But yeah, once you've seen that once, yeah, wasn't that big a deal. I think if you lived in a place where it's a total eclipse, now that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, if it's just partial, yeah. So yeah, they kept all the kids inside the school. Especially, they said, well, for the high school, kids could leave, but, remind them to not look up at the sun. But yeah, for elementary kids, they said they kept them all inside because, yeah, lower impulse control, right? And they might not really fully understand how dangerous it is to look at the sun. So when it's in an eclipse, yeah. Yeah, I've, friends online from all over the world, so there's some people who don't get to see anything at all, depending on where they are. Yeah. Okay, so once again, I have almost stripes here being formed. And then actually what I might do is, hang on a minute. Yeah. Gonna wrap my way around this green parked thread here. Oops. Oh, my goodness, pardon me. Oh, goodness. Not having luck today. Starting off with a knot. Okay. Oh, there we go. probably going to end up with multiple threads here of these colors. There's a lot of them, so. Okay. So park this right here, and then I'm going to take this green. Which is going to run out pretty soon, it looks like. Dear. Oh my gosh. I tell you, it is not my lucky day. Another one with a knot in it. Darn. What is going on here? Oh my gosh. What a mess. Okay. Somehow, one end here has tied itself around my working thread. Oh, come on, you. Don't be like that, huh? Okay. Let's see if I can do it more easily from this side. Or if you're just... Oh, okay. That was weird. Yeah, I don't know if it was just because it's more awkward to try and do it when you're bent over sideways. Yeah, I had for a while, I had a craft stand that was named Stitcher's Wonder that was for scroll bars, but you couldn't, and this was before I learned how to begin and end my threads from the front. So you couldn't swivel it the whole way around. You could only tilt it at an angle, which meant every time I wanted to end off a thread, I had to tilt it and kind of bend over. And yeah, I ended up not using that stand for very long because I noticed that my back was sore after like an hour of stitching because of the constant, having to twist into funny positions to see the thread to end it off properly. Now I do it by feel. Yeah, and then I switched to this stand, which does, the top does swivel the entire way around. So for a while I did that. You could just flip it and tie off the thread, then flip it back. And then, yeah, I ended up eventually learning how to begin and end from the front. So then no more twisting and bending and moving in ways that are uncomfortable for my back. Yeah, I always say try to bring the work to myself and not myself to the work. Okay. Nope. I could tell when I pushed that needle through there was more resistance on it than there should be, which means I split the fabric instead of going down in the hole in the fabric. There we go. Yeah, so I was saying last time that they were calling for 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. Thankfully, they were wrong. We got 1, and it happened overnight, and it melted by like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So, yeah. And then now they're not calling for any more. So, dare I hope that spring is actually here. Yeah, I always say it's kind of it's a gamble when people want to put their summer garden in, because we don't have a long growing season, so you want to get it in early enough that it has time to grow, but you have to be careful not to plant everything too early, because if we have a later snowfall, yeah, then everything could die. I know I have some people along my usual route for my walk in the morning that have a whole bunch of buckets, and if we get a sudden cold, you'll see all the plants down their front walkway are covered in buckets to try and keep them warm. Yeah. Yeah, we bought a place that they had built a little greenhouse, but I think whatever the material they used for the sides of it was a little too opaque, and nothing grew in there. We tried. We planted a bunch of stuff. Even the beans didn't grow. And I mean, yeah, beans are pretty hard to kill. Green beans, they grow like crazy usually. So yeah, but yeah, we didn't get anything, not a single little spark. So it was warm in there, but I think it didn't get enough light. Yeah, so we tried. I mean, I am not the best gardener, but yeah, I think that part I don't think was entirely my fault. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so again, I've got to sort of pick somewhere to make breaks. So far I've been sort of stopping about here. Oh, that's not gonna work. This is cross stitch, not up and down stitch. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, so I was lucky, like I said. I did not catch my husband's cold, and he's all better now, so yeah, I was fortunate. So yeah, I could sort of work along a big swath, but for the moment, I'm just going to kind of limit it to here and upwards, I think. Yeah, so this is the last of the ocean, I think, in this fourth pass. Take a look at my mock-up. Oh, no, there is a bit more, but we end up with a pink, top of some pink flowers will show up at the bottom of this pass. Yeah, as we move out of the ocean part and into the actual garden part. Yeah, so no more zeros, even though I did complete the garden wall there. But yeah, all the colors are sort of, they have a few stitches more scattered throughout the piece, so it may take me until the last pass of this project before I start hitting zeros again. We will see. That happens sometimes. Yeah, it really depends a lot on the layout of the pattern, or the picture, I should say. Again, I just don't want to have too many live needles at once. Causes more potential tangling problems, so I'm working kind of on a shallow diagonal here, sort of, although, like I said, I more follow the colors than diagonally these days, and I actually turned my diagonal lines off on my on Pattern Keeper. I was really only using them as a rough guide for quite a while, and then, yeah, the last pass of this piece, there was so much stuff sloping the other way that I ended up abandoning my diagonal stitching. So, yeah, kind of thought not really much point to keeping them on anymore. So we're gonna get water in, I think, the bottom of a sailboat. Probably not today, but it is coming up. Okay, park that there. So it was nice to have a week off of school for my kiddo, but back to the routine now. I mean, technically I could sleep in more because he can drive himself to school now, but yeah, I get up, get him up. Yeah, I can't really sleep in as much like I used to. I used to be much more of a night owl. And I mean, I still am not a morning person, but yeah, I find I kind of wake up naturally around 8 a.m. now when I don't have to get up, because days that my son has school, I set my alarm for 7:30. That way, it gives him some time to sort of defrost. Not very much of this one left, so I'm going to park it down there to do later. Just do those 2 stitches. So yeah, start to work my way upwards a bit and add some more threads. And yeah, I actually did start at 0 today. Yeah, the last few sessions I haven't. But I think it's been bright enough today. It's a lovely day, almost no clouds, so. So yeah, like I said, oops, caught on one of my clips here. It's been taking me about 4 months to do a pass, which is about just over 8,000 stitches a month, which has been doable. stitch is loose. Yeah, weird. Okay. Let's feel if there's a knot there. Nope, but... Okay, that's better. That's just me being finicky. Probably nobody would have noticed but me. Yeah, people generally don't go so close they're looking at the individual stitches. So yeah, I'll see people have pictures of, oh, my stitches are so messy, and I zoom way in and I'm like, honestly, they look fine most of the time. Yeah, we're always our own worst critics. Okay, so I'm gonna add another thread up, which means I need to grab a new one. Wasn't able to get my fabric as taut this time. It might be time to get some new clamps on Etsy. There's someone who sells replacement clamps so you don't have to buy an entire new Q-snap frame, which is nice. Yeah, because it's kind of frustrating in stores. You can't buy just the clamps, and usually the actual frame itself is just fine. It doesn't really wear out. So, yeah. Yeah, I've got two threads here, but both of them are starting to kind of run out at the same time. Another here, which is also not terribly long either. I have a few sort of the same color parked, but they're all kind of running out at once. Okay, so do that one and these four. this is where the bottom of the sailboat is going to show up. You can see from the symbols on the pattern there. Actually might do is extend this up to here and back. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to have multiple threads of colors no matter what. So. Yeah, I almost missed the premiere of the final season of Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, completely forgot. Good thing for on demand. Yeah, I realized a few days after it premiered. I know, I'm a total Trekkie and I was not on the ball that time. Yeah, the only thing is, like, they had less than 100 episodes even though they had 5 seasons because they don't make long seasons like they used to. I do miss that about TV shows. They only make like 10 episodes, sometimes even 8. Yeah, it's just not long enough. Yeah. And I had people say, well, there's fewer filler episodes, but I said sometimes those filler episodes were the best because they were more character driven, and those are my favorite kinds of stories. Because, yeah, seasons used to be like 22 episodes minimum. Sometimes more. I know Star Trek The Next Generation used to be 26 episodes a season. And there was only one that was 22 episodes, and that's because there was a writer's strike at the time. Yeah, or the other weird phenomenon is when they say the shows got too popular, so it was too expensive to produce them. And I'm thinking, okay, but why did you have to keep upping the production value if it was doing well as it was, right? Because 911 got sold to a new network because they said it was too expensive for them to keep doing it, even though it's a very popular show. And, like, yeah, they renewed it for another season after the season premiere kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't get it. Like, if you had a formula that worked, I don't see why you had to push it to go so much bigger that it became too expensive for you to make anymore. That's just me. Okay, and again, I have to cut it off somewhere, so I'll probably, let me take a look here. Yeah, there's sort of a new shape emerging here, so I'll probably cut it off right about where this strand is parked here. And then fill all in, and then go down, fill in that until I reach the bottom of the pass, and then come back up to the top and start working sideways again, because like I said, trying to hit the balance between not limiting myself to too small an area without having too many. live needles to deal with. So yeah, I don't go by a set like sort of, oh, I'm going to work, you know, 4 by 4 squares or something. I just go by where the colors often make what seems to be a natural break point is how I often work. Okay, 9 through 2. Oh, no. Accidentally grabbed 9, 3, 4. And yeah, that's... As soon as I opened the envelope, I went, nope, that thread is way too dark. That cannot be right. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I may actually, in fact, not even work this and just sort of work around this shape here. And then I don't have to add a bunch more threads because, like I said, I don't really stitch this diagonally, more stitch more color flow, following the shapes the colors make. So yeah, that's what I think I'll do. That way I won't have too many to deal with at once. Okay, so 1, 2, and park that there. Okay, take a look at this parked one. I think it's a decent length, but I'm gonna see what I have here. Perfect. Got a bunch of short pieces to use up. So that one in the corner, I'll just use a different piece. Okay, or what I can do is split this gray color up a bit. I think that's what I'll do. so then I won't close it in. Doesn't really matter if it's only by maybe a stitch, but I feel like why not? Work like that, rectangle shape. Fuzzy here. There we go. That's better. kind of cutting it off before I have to add yet another color. That square sort of with the line through it. So that's often what influences where I decide to make a break. If I've been working with several colors and there's a new one, yeah, I'll often just leave it for the next area, the next time I tackle that area. Make my break point there. Sometimes my thread running out also decides for me. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, this thread was the one I decided was good for a couple more stitches, and then it'll be done. Yeah, so got my husband to finally put a mesh around the vent cover, because yeah, that bird that kept trying to live in there was getting very persistent. I would tape it up, but then of course I'd have to open it because, you know, I was cooking something that made a lot of fumes or whatever that needed to be vented outside. So I'd have to untape it, and then yeah, it would come back the next day and try and live in there. So it just would not give up. So got sick of chasing it away. So yeah, I said, like, we have trees that we would not disturb them, but he wanted to live in there. I guess it seemed like this a safe place, right? Yeah, like there's only one way in. He can guard it better. So yeah, I remember when I was a kid, teenager, and my parents' house, every morning, like around 4 or 5, I'd hear this scratching sound. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then one day, as I was walking home, I saw a bird sticking its head out. There was sort of like this decorative molding, and part of it had like come away at one corner or something, just enough that this little guy could squeeze in and out. Yeah, that's what I was hearing, was him scrabbling his way through it. Yeah, nature's always looking to reclaim stuff, right? I remember seeing an article in Reader's Digest that was called Plants That Eat Cities. And yeah, they were showing pictures of ancient ruins where like fountains and stuff were completely covered with moss, and how they were slowly being broken down and stuff by the ivy and the moss and stuff growing on them. Yeah, it's just kind of cool how everything eventually gets taken back over by nature. Like plants growing through concrete and stuff. We can't we can't take over forever. Oh, they said it's funny because, like, yeah, the difference between, you know, house plants and plants in the wild, they'll grow anywhere. There's pictures somebody had of plants growing on power lines, and not like vines that grew up from the ground, like just on the actual power line. Like, how even? And then they said, yeah, but then house plants are just like, well, you watered me on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, so yeah. Or is this tap water? I'm allergic. They get spoiled. Yeah, I remember when we were kids, we wanted to plant some stuff, and I can't remember where we got this package of carrot seeds from, but as we were trying to open it, we tore it open too hard, and it sort of spilled all over the place. And some of the seeds ended up underneath where the outside tap was, and there was just it dripped a little bit, not a lot, but there was just enough of a water that, yeah, we actually discovered it did grow some carrots there, even though like the soil was definitely not ideal. It was very sandy, but yeah, we ended up with some teeny tiny little carrots that grew from an accidental planting. Yeah, we didn't even plant them properly, just kind of got scattered there. That'll use up this thread. So yeah, like I said, sort of this is where I'm making my cutoff for the moment. And sort of about here too. And then once that's kind of filled in and sort of squared off, then I'll drop back down and start working on filling in towards the bottom of this pass. So we're going to go down to row 260 since we started at row 200. And then this is 210 here, so yeah, there's a ways to go. And my very last pass will be 58 rows instead of 60, but I figured that's close enough. I really like this color, this 3765. It's very, I don't know, rich kind of a blue. Yeah. See if this is even long enough to do what I highlighted here or not. Actually, probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these two. And then I'm actually going to park it right here to do that single stitch by itself, and then I'll use a new thread to carry on for this color. So I need to grab my envelope. I have to get a new skein for that envelope too, down to my last strand. This is an older color because it's still got kinks in it from being wound around a bobbin from when I used to do that. Okay. Accidentally went over one of the completed stitches. So I thought I wanted to frog something, which I did not. Alright, so then here's where I'm cutting this off. Actually, I won't bother doing that stitch either. multiple threads of a couple of colors here, so I'm gonna make sure I'm actually stitching in the right spot. Check with my grid lines and not just against the stuff that's already parked there, because yeah, that can mix me up, which it has done in the past. Okay, so right, that was, decided to just do a single stitch there, that color. Just set these aside because I'm going to fill in stuff that's below before I continue spreading to the right there. All right, I'm going to start one more thread, and then I think that's where I'll call it a day. Did over 200 stitches in this session, so yeah, it's pretty good progress, I should say. I'm quite pleased with that. These, and then I'm going to park it, and I'm going to go back down to the very edge there and start filling in from there. That's what I'll do later, but this will be where I call it a day, I think. Let's not have knots. Yeah, 212, pretty happy with that. So thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here next time. Thanks everyone, bye.